This is what you're going to get. You're going to get 100% of me, and I want to give you a zoom out. It says 7 disciplines, but I can't do just that. I want to zoom out because it's way more than how to freak an IDS. It's a mindset about how you're going to approach this. And so I spent 30 minutes with Gino getting a green light on my thinking on this, and I got the green light, so I'm going to let it fly. Good? I am not a motivational speaker, and I do not live in a van down by the river. I have some passion on this topic because I have a lot of bumps and bruises and a ton of scars, and I've made a ton of mistakes. Everything I'm going to talk to you about is tried in my life, personal life. It's also tried in my other company. So I don't just teach this. I don't just try to help other people do it. 100% of what I'm teaching, I am trying to master myself. Look to your neighbor and say, you got issues. I got issues. I got issues. So I'm going to talk about, at the end of the day, this is what I believe this is. It's making better decisions faster. And it's executing decisions faster. This whole conversation started for me when Tiffany Souter's company Element 3, one of her leaders sent me this article, and it's called Speed as a Habit. And the president, or he's the CEO of a personal finance company, Upstart, Dave Gerard, but he's known for building Google's enterprise apps to a $1 billion division. So this article, I got a hold of it. It's the best article that I've read in probably 2 or 3 years, and it's very short. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, I want you to write these 3 things down. Darren Hardy, publisher of Success Magazine, mentor of mine by way of all the stuff I've paid to listen to him talk through video. I had him actually come and speak at an event of mine. But he said, whenever you're consuming content, you have to do these 3 things. Don't just consume this content that I'm going to give you. You have to do these 3 things. Number 1, question. These are 3 questions. Am I doing it? Whatever I'm telling you, ask yourself, am I doing it? Question number 2. Have I mastered it? Whatever it is, whatever the tool is, whatever the thought is, have I mastered it? And then number 3, this is the killer. Would my results prove that I've freaking mastered it? And yes, you can write the word freaking in there if you want. Would my results prove that I've mastered it? I intentionally didn't build a PowerPoint. Intentionally. You all are kind of hate me for this. Here's what I believe. Your thinking translated into writing, there's all kinds of studies. You retain it better. And I want you to leave with some stuff. 3 questions. Am I doing it? Have I mastered it? Would my results prove that I've mastered it? Everything I'm going to say, have that filter on, because some of this is going to be repeats. So I have a question for you. What I'm going to do right now is I'm gonna. Wow, that was awesome. And I can still read my notes. That's good. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover 4 discoveries. This is what I'm going to talk to you about today. 4 discoveries. That was awesome too. This is from Gino's ebook, Decide. Raise your hand if you've read Gino's ebook, Decide. Raise your hand. Oh, okay, good. I'm so glad I asked that question. How many of you have heard about the 10 commandments of good decision making? Raise your hand. Half. Okay, less than half. Okay, that's even better. All right, so I'm going to share the 4 discoveries. I'm going to share the 10 commandments, and then I'm going to talk about the 7 disciplines. Okay, I gotta get you to zoom out. So at the end of this, what I'm hoping you will do is I want you to evaluate. You don't have to write this down. Just listen. I want you to evaluate if I've mastered it. Like if I'm doing it, I want you to evaluate if I've mastered it and if it's giving me the results that it should be, that I think it should be. I want you then to decide on what you're going to take and what are you going to do with this content. So in this session, I want you to do that. And then I want you to, in this session, develop your own action plan of what you're going to do with this. That's because usually 98% of everything you take in, and this is just one session out of how many freaking sessions in 2.5 days? So 98% of this is going to be gone in 2 weeks. It's going to be gone in 2 weeks. That's the value of a motivational speaker, is in 2 weeks you're going to need a refresh. So I just want you to leave with an action plan if anything resonates, and if some of it doesn't resonate, just throw it out. Don't even think about it. Don't let that get in your head. Okay, so I'm going to drive. Zoom out with me for a minute, and I want you to look at this. Your thinking and doing, okay? When Dave wrote this article, it's to me, it's about thinking and doing. If you have this level of thinking and doing, it's going to produce this level of result. And here's the deal. Thinking and doing, here, some people have dreams that are up here. They dream about this result, and their thinking and doing is down here. And so, do you know what hitting the ceiling is? Have you seen some people that it takes forever for them to recognize that they are hitting the ceiling because of ego and blind spots and fear of saying that they're hitting the ceiling? Have you heard that? Would you like them to speed that up? Would you like them to just throw it? Hey, I think I'm hitting the ceiling. Some people, it's so crazy to me. That's a ceiling. That's you hitting it. That's somebody hitting it. How many of you would say it's even a little awkward for you to admit that you're hitting the ceiling? Just raise your hand if you feel that way. Why is that awkward? Look at where you were. You were here, and then you went up here and you hit a ceiling. What is wrong with you doing this? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with this, but the reason we can't move as fast is because we get slow right here, and we get uncomfortable, and so then we pause, and it takes us longer to break through because we see the ceiling coming, and people are going to know that I have some weaknesses. People are going to know that I have some issues. And I just want you to understand, your job is to freaking break through the ceiling. And so the faster you can admit that there's a ceiling coming, the faster you can break through it. Does that make sense? Okay, so speed is a habit. I'm going to read this a little bit. This is what David said. He goes, I believe that speed, like exercise and eating healthy, can be habitual. You can make speed a habit. Through a prolonged, proactive effort to develop these good habits, we can convert ourselves as founders, executives, employees to be faster, more efficient company building. And I'm going to read this, but if you want this article, that's my email. I'll send you a link to this. Just send me an email, and I'll send you this whole article, okay? So he says, we convert ourselves as founders, executives, employees to be faster, more efficient company building machines. And when enough members of a team exhibit this set of habits and are rewarded with reinforcement, compensation, promotions, the organization itself will gain velocity. This is how category killers are made. This is how it's made, is you as a leader decide we're going to move with more speed. We're going to make it a habit. So let's break this down. What are the building blocks to speed? When you think about it, all business activity really comes down to two simple things: making decisions and executing on decisions faster. He said you have to build the skill of making decisions faster and executing on those decisions faster. So that takes us to this issues component of how can we do that? But it's way bigger than the issues component. So what I want to talk about is this zooming out. I want to zoom out, and I want to talk about the discoveries in the ebook Decide. There's 4 discoveries that Gino wrote. But before I share that, I need you to understand, this is supposed to be IDS Mastery Extra, okay? So the simplicity, you don't necessarily have to have all that I'm going to give you if you've already mastered it. But for me, when I was a shooting guard, I had this dream to play college basketball. There was a moment where I had to master the ability to shoot with perfect form. And so my dad taught me on my shoulder, there was this little guy, and he shot the perfect shot every time. And what I did is I mentally, when I would shoot, I had a little balance, eyes, elbow, follow through, so I had a little cadence and had to make sure that my elbow clicked my hip to make sure that it was all in alignment. There's all these little tricks because in basketball, if you're a shooting guard, the goal is to shoot it faster before the defense gets. So you're trying to create space, and speed is really important in basketball. And speed is really important in running races and in swimming races. And speed is really important in football. Speed is really important in business. First to build a business, first to have a product, first to market is a big deal, right? Speed is important everywhere. And so you get to choose this. Now, some of us are complexifiers. And complexity does what to speed? So this is a message from Gino through Justin to you. I do not want anybody in here to feel like they're not moving fast enough. That's called head trash. What I care about is whatever your speed is with your thinking. Like, I've made so many mistakes because of my speed. Too fast. And my wife is like my personal integrator, and she would tell you, oh yeah, train wrecks all over the place because of his speed. And when I realize sometimes to go fast, you need to go slow. So I want us to understand that I'm not saying everything has to be lightning fast. I'm saying everything you do, you can increase speed without losing quality, without losing awesome sauce of good decision making. And so this is the whole point is some of you haven't heard of Colby. So I'm going to give you context of what I am if you know what Colby is. I'm a 3 fact finder, meaning I like 1 or 2 bullets and I'm ready to make a really big decision. I don't need 2 pages. Like, that's eye roll material for me. Like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of content. So I'll make decisions that feel really comfortable with a couple bullet points, and I'm ready to go. And then follow through. It's embarrassing. I'm a 2. I will have 15 balls juggling, and I'm just fine if 12 of them break, as long as I have my 3 favorite ones and we're rolling. So I've made a lot of mistakes. And then I'm a 9 quick start. So it's a recipe for jacked upness. My wife would tell you she has to tolerate all this. So I'm me, and I don't want you to be me. I love me, and I figured out some severe coping mechanisms to not make as many mistakes. Sometimes I still run too fast. But what I want you to get is what Gino has created, and all of this. If you zoom out, he's like, this whole system, everything in it is designed to help you make better decisions faster. The whole thing. So let me give you some of this. Discovery number 1. So this is from the ebook Decide. The action here is read the freaking ebook if you haven't read it. That's the action here. I'm going to just completely fly over this because it's already a documented piece of material and you don't need to hear me repeat it. But I just want to cover. Discovery number 1, you must have clarity of vision. And what Gino talks about in those clarity of vision, he's talking about the first page of the VTO. What are your core values? What is your core focus? What is your 10-year target? Who is your ideal customer, and what is the most appealing message to them? And what is your 3-year picture? He's just saying the first page of the VTO, he breaks it all down. He's saying to move with some more speed, make some decisions in advance so every decision you make has a filter. You can go faster when you know where you're going, right? So that's known. I added some extras to you must have clarity of vision. I call it pre-made decisions. If you're going to make better decisions faster, why don't you make a bunch of pre-made decisions so you don't even have to decide anymore? All you have to do is execute. And there's a lot more pre-made decisions within your own operating system that you maybe don't even realize it's a pre-made decision because you're not thinking that way. So here's the other pre-made decisions. Your one-year plan, your rocks, your scorecard. These are pre-made decisions that you know if I hit this measurable, I'm winning, and if I don't. The problem with these pre-made decisions is we actually aren't executing sometimes on those decisions because we tolerate red metrics. We tolerate off track. And so we just don't make that the most important priority, but you've pre-made the decision and now you're simply just not executing. The other thing that's pre-made is your documented core processes. You've pre-made those decisions, and yet sometimes you're not holding people accountable. You've done all the beautiful work, but you're actually not holding people accountable to the pre-made decision of how we want it done because you're afraid of whatever, I don't know. And then lastly, the 5 roles in your seat. Some people complain about, I'm hitting the ceiling, I'm doing too much, and you actually are doing other people's jobs. You're not owning the pre-made decision of the 5 roles in my seat, and you're just saying, sure, throw the monkey on my back, and you throw out the pre-made decision, so now you're doing other people's jobs. And so part of this, to me, is what are all the pre-made decisions you can make? Some really successful people, they have uniforms. I have a uniform. I'm not wearing it today because this is a little special, but I have the same type of pants. I have the same type of shoes. I have 8 pairs of everything, and I just wear the same stuff every day. It's a pre-made decision. It's easy, and I don't care if you don't think it looks good. It's a pre-made decision. It's done, not even in my head. I just recently started a pre-made decision. I'm intermittent fasting. I'm in session days all the time, but this pre-made decision has been ridiculously helpful. I don't eat for 20 hours, and I have a 4-hour window where I eat some food. And I'm in a session room, and I see my favorite donuts, and I've already made the decision I'm not eating. What you don't know about me is I'm a habitual grazer. I graze. So when I haven't made the decision, then I'm like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. Yeah, that looks really good. And so I'll go over here, and I'll have a little something. And because I didn't pre-make the decision, it's a lot harder to avoid something. But when I've pre-made it in my head, I'm able to just say, you know what? I've already made the decision. I'm not eating until 5. It's not a popular thing for some people. It's not even popular for me. I think it sucks. But I like the results. I like how I feel. I like the discipline of the pre-made decision. So just for a minute, take a note right now. What kind of pre-made decisions do you think you could make in your business? What kind of pre-made decisions could you make? Or better yet, what are the pre-made decisions that you're ignoring on execution? What are the pre-made decisions you're making ignoring those things? Take a minute to think. Where could you pre-make some decisions? I believe that they can change your life and your business. So that's discovery number 1. Here's discovery number 2 from the ebook Decide. You have to have clarity breaks. Please raise your hand if you are hitting 90% strong on taking your scheduled clarity breaks. Is it a weekly basis? Raise your hand. Who's really owning it? Okay, that's less than 10% of the people in this room. How many of you have been taught that clarity breaks are important? Raise your hand. The decision is, yes, I'm going to take clarity breaks. What's lacking is no execution. And I'm frustrated because I just don't think we're breaking through. Do you realize that clarity breaks allow you time to think differently? And so when you hit the ceiling here, some people, they stay stuck because they don't do what they know. But here's where I get excited. You've heard the line maybe from John Maxwell, don't send your ducks to Eagle School. Have you ever heard that? Don't send your ducks to Eagle School. If they're a mallard duck, let them be a mallard duck. But if you want more, you have to become more. And usually the becoming more is not the decision, hey, we should take clarity breaks. That's a decision. It's the action of it. You're not becoming more because you're not doing what you know or what you maybe have decided or said, yeah, I'll give it a try. So thinking and doing, if you think, take time to think, Your level of thinking has to change if you want different results. Look to your neighbor. This is good. You don't have to talk about yourself right now. Look to your neighbor and said, dude, your thinking needs to change. You can do a big old one of these to him if you want. Your thinking needs to change. That's the point of Clarity Breaks. It's going to elevate you to a level that it's going to get you outside of the freaking trees. It's the forest through the trees thing. If you're not doing this, you don't value this idea of zooming out, which allows you to see farther, and you can see the potholes better. You can see better. And sometimes you need other people to speak into your life because that's how you can see better, because maybe you're a little blinded. So asking yourself great questions will lead to better clarity breaks. Asking other people great questions will lead to better clarity breaks. I didn't ask my wife this question. She just offered up the statement to me one day. In a 30-minute conversation, lots of tears, but she looked at me and she said, "You're miserable. You're not the man I thought you'd be, not the husband I thought you'd be, not the father I thought you'd be. This was 11 years ago, 12 years ago." And it took her giving me clarity that allowed me to see my current thinking and doing needed to change, and everything she said was true. And so I started asking myself different questions saying, I want more. I want more. And so what kind of thinking do I have to have? And I took a clarity break 4 months ago. 81 issues came out of my head in less than 90 minutes. 81 things that were trapped in my noggin, and they are now, some of them are being executed upon because I took that clarity break and I sent it to people to help. Here's the deal. We know about clarity breaks. And clarity breaks build better issues lists. They do. And if you're not taking clarity breaks, your issues list aren't as strong. It's inevitable. Who would you rather have? The person that is just only doing, in the work. Then they come to the meeting and they're thinking about their doing, so they can't even think about the things they're supposed to think about, which are issues, because they just do. So if you're not giving yourself space, zooming out to build a better issues list, no wonder you're talking about surface level issues and only the hottest things, because you're not getting ahead of where could this company be if your brain was on fire thinking about things that are a little bit further down the road. Because your thinking then does what? It changes your doing. So discovery number 2 is take clarity breaks. What's your action? 2 of you are going to take clarity breaks. I love that. Thank you. This is traction, baby. Discovery number 3. It's the 10. Well, it's basically you got to avoid the 10 habits of bad decision making. So it's the 10 commandments of good decision making. So I'm just going to rip through these again. It's already documented. I want you to hear the mindset of it, because all of this together is going to help you make better decisions faster, and it's going to help you execute them. So, 10 commandments. Thou shalt not rule by consensus. You want to kill a company? Just rule everything by consensus. You'll slow it down and you'll create a level of mediocrity that has not been seen in a long time. Actually, no, there's a lot of companies that rule by consensus. And it stifles the speed. And the quality of decisions is almost always less than that gut feel when you get all the input and then you make a solid decision. Consensus does not making a decision by consensus does not mean you don't hear everybody. It's just you don't let the voting decide. Okay, thou shalt not be a weenie. That's the second commandment. Thou shalt not be a weenie. Yeah, weenie. W-E-E-N-I-E. Here's the deal. The solution is often simple. It's just not always easy to implement. Look to your neighbor. Thank you. Thou shalt be decisive. That's number 3. Thou shalt be decisive. There's an old, I don't know if it's a proverb, but it says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. How many know people that are indecisive? Like they make a decision here, and then next week I don't know, make a different decision over here, and then it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth ad nauseum, and they're not making decisions. So be decisive. Especially if they're fact finders. Don't beat up on fact finders. Thou shalt not rely on secondhand information. You want to really slow your organization down and ruin culture and lose trust? Rely on secondhand information. When you hear it, don't just believe it unless you're talking to the person that actually did it. You can move faster when you create a culture where everyone can trust, I won't assume. Because when you assume and just make decisions without people in the room, they get butthurt. And then they slow down because they're not sure if they should say it or do it or whatever, because they don't know what you're going to do because you didn't get to them. This is a culture I'm talking about. Thou shalt fight for the greater good. I don't want implementers to answer this. Please, someone tell me, what is the greater good? What is the greater good? Every single word on your VTO. That is the greater good. You have pre-made that decision. You don't have to wonder what the greater good is. You made it. And what I see is people making short-term decisions, executing on those decisions and executing fast, but it's not in alignment with their VTO. And so they're not making great decisions because everybody watching them make those decisions say, well, that doesn't align with, I thought this was the VTO. Oh, that's kind of way down the road. We just have to do this now. Thou shalt fight for the greater good. Are you leading in a way that's making every decision in alignment with that greater good? That'll help the whole organization move faster because what you say, writing on that sheet, is how you behave, and people trust you more, and they all can run faster. And now guess what they can do? They can make decisions for the greater good too, so the whole organization is able to move faster. Thou shalt not try to solve them all. Some people, they go so fast in IDS because they just want to check everything off, and they Band-Aid and duct tape all of the issues, and they say that they're solved, but they're not. So thou shalt not try to solve them all. Thou shalt live with it, end it, or change it. I'm going fast here because there's a whole document that you can get all of this. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Thou shalt not live with it, end it, or change it. This is one of my favorite things. They complain about it. They're not living with it, ending it, or change it. But man, can you slow an organization down when you sit around and complain about it. They don't know that they're complaining about it. They're talking about legitimate issues. But when you spend time complaining about it and, pardon my French, half-ass IDSing the complaining, but you don't really solve it, you slow everything down and you detract people from the greater good because we're just sitting here complaining about it. It's complete waste. Thou shalt choose short-term pain and suffering. That's number 8. The people you were just talking to, you told them that they have issues. Sometimes I don't want the short-term pain and suffering because it's here and now, and I just don't want to deal with it. I've had people tell me, yeah, Justin, I don't want to having to deal with that pain. I can't imagine. And they're spending so much time looking in the rear view mirror as to it's going to be so painful because of them or whatever that thing is, that they're not looking at, but how free could you be if you just dealt with the freaking pain today and set everyone around that issue free? Now everyone gets to move a little faster because you are not dealing with the same crap. Number 9, thou shalt enter the danger. I think I came up with a term, I want you to stab me from the front, a little bit after my wife had that wonderful conversation with me. She's my best friend. And when she was in tears telling me this stuff, I was in full reception mode with everything she was saying. I wanted to be bitter. I wanted to be frustrated. I wanted to be offended. But everything she said, she entered the danger. I was the freaking coward, feeling it, not wanting to say it. And I was like Tiffany, just kind of letting moss grow over the issue, and my wife just freaking went after it with her hand on my shoulder, and she looked, honey, I love you. Something's got to change, though. Scale of 1 to 10. How many of you would say, I know I have some issues right now that I'm delaying entering the danger? Raise a hand. Oh, that's so surprising. I thought there'd only be a couple of you, kind of like the clarity breaks. Why are you not addressing this? You know, head knowledge, you know the truth of what can happen. Look to your neighbor and say, do you want to be set free? Then just go ahead and say, what the hell's wrong with you? No, don't say that. Don't say that. That's so unkind. Number 10, thou shalt take a shot. Take a shot. It's John. I went to a writing conference with John Maxwell. I'm a speaker trainer coach with John. I'm like, I got to write a book. Everybody says I should write a book. So went to the conference. The first thing John says about writing a book, he goes, write the book. Second thing he said, it's going to suck. Exact words. It's going to suck. Write it anyways. Take a shot. Because then when you write that first book that sucks, you'll get better and you'll be able to make the second book. That's the same thing with issues. Take a shot at the issue. And because you get forward motion on that issue, you're increasing speed because you don't really solve the issue when you talk about it. You solve it when you take a shot and complete the to-do and then go, oh, I learned that didn't work. And so you can take more shots, but so many people don't take shots. That's one thing, if I was on your basketball team, you'd have never, ever had to say to me, I'm a shooting guard. I'm a trained black hole. That's what they call shooters that just never see a shot that they don't like. Like, don't pass it to Maust. He's going to shoot it. I will always take a shot. You should always take a shot. And you should lead and ask other people to take shots. And you should perpetuate that throughout your whole organization. At every leadership team, there's someone that will take a shot, right? I mean, maybe, I hope. Oh my, I hope. But what I'm saying is, forget the L10 meeting. Part of the reason you're not moving as fast as you could is you're not taking shots all week long. You're waiting to IDS it with the leadership team when you should be freaking taking your own shots, not wasting the leadership team's time. Ouch. It's a little intense. How many feel like this has been valuable so far? Yeah? Okay, good. Sweet. Now I've got 29 minutes, and I'm going to give you 7 disciplines, and I'm going to cover a little bit of IDS. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, for just a hot second, I'm going to skip the IDS basics. I'm going to come back to it, but I want to make sure I leave you with these 7 disciplines, which is kind of the title. So I want to make sure that I cover my 7 disciplines. Oh, yeah. Okay. Discipline number 1. The first discipline, and I don't know if it's a discipline as much as it's a decision, but I think it's going to require discipline to continually own it. Choose to make speed a habit. Choose to make speed a habit. If you're not content with the pace of your issue solving, please hear me. Don't move as fast as I do. Move as fast as you do. But if you're not content with your pace and you think you can improve it, then choose to make speed a habit. I am a very unstructured person, and I didn't like the results that I was getting. I was sporadic, I wasn't focused, and so I was living here in I wanted more, but my thinking and doing was low when it came to me living with discipline. And so I've created this little slogan for me, and I share it with everybody. I'm so passionate about it. Success loves discipline. I said that because I did not love discipline. And I'm like, I abhor. I run away from discipline. I like being fly by the seat of my pants. I like not being accountable to myself. I like not knowing, am I really delivering results that I want? Because I just feel better when my head's in the sand. It's a better feeling, supposedly. And then I fell in love with discipline, and I'm here to tell you, it's so much more fun. Because my results at home, in my life, in my business, in my bank account, in my passion for sports, in my relationships, in my marriage, choosing to own the discipline has been super helpful. So this is discipline number one. Choose to make speed a habit. I believe, like Dave, that speed, like exercise and eating healthy, can be habitual. So that's discipline number one. Discipline number two. Now, what I'm going to tell you, again, take it or leave it, but if you're trying to build speed and you're trying to build some disciplines, like I just need to get good at some of these things, schedule individual time to build and review your issues list. I have a couple teams doing this, and I pulled this from them because I watched them, and when they schedule a little time, I'm saying like 10, 15 minutes, either on your own or with the team, but what they do is they schedule some time to just prep so that when they know they have a big issue they're going to talk about, they have all the data in the room and they're moving much faster. It's like they're intentionally setting the stage for a kick-butt meeting because that issues list is hot. It's real. It's got all the right stuff on it. But when you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, you're not evaluating that. So schedule individual time to build and review your issues list. Discipline number 3. Mentally prep like an Olympic athlete. Mentally prep like an Olympic athlete for your level 10 meeting. For any meetings, you will move faster with more quality, with better thinking if you mentally prep. When you get into the Olympics, which I've never been, anybody here been in the Olympics? I know a couple professional athletes, so I've talked to them. I've talked to a friend of mine. She's like a mental toughness coach. She was a mental toughness coach for Notre Dame football players and the coach. And my son, when he went to play college tennis, his coach showed him a video of an Olympic tennis coach, and it was 27 seconds. There's approximately 27 seconds from when you play tennis. This is just a free course on tennis. What they do is they bounce the ball, and they look at the net and like where they want to put the ball, and then they serve the ball, and then there's like some volleying back and forth. And then once the play's over, there's about 27 seconds between when you go grab that ball and then you go back to the line where you're going to serve. And this video has hundreds of thousands of views because he's saying 27 seconds or 16 seconds. I forget which one it is, but it's seconds. And the whole thing is a series of mental preparation to forget what happened in the last play, good or bad, and put your sole focus on the next play. So what I mean by this is mentally prepping your leadership team or the level 10 participants that we're going to move with speed. We're going to prioritize the top 3 most important issues. We're going to identify the root of the issue only. We're going to call out politicking and tangents. We're not going to say, hey, tangent here, and let the person tell what the tangent is. Have you ever seen people do that? So guilty, aren't you? So guilty. Oh, tangent, yeah, and they go right on talking. What? This is crazy. Establish a simple mental prep routine for IDS mastery. Create visual cues in the room. Have a tangent button. Like, all of these things are little tricks and gimmicks just to keep us focused on executing like rock stars for this 60-minute window that could literally help us solve hundreds of more issues throughout the organization if we were more mentally prepped. So literally, I'm saying mental prep, but verbally say it to the whole team so we all are mentally prepped so that we rock it. Number 4, time block your to-dos. This is about executing decisions faster. I've tried this. Remember, I'm a 2 follow-through, so I'm just going to be very honest here. I started trying this because I was going to give a talk on IDS. So I started trying it, but I've had other clients tell me, and the people that have like 90 to 100% to-do completion, please raise your hands if your team is doing 90 to 100% to-do completion. Raise them high, please. Okay, good. Yeah, please give a round of applause. That's good. We pre-selected the things that had to be solved in our level 10. We pre-selected them. Then we IDS'd them like rock stars, and we assigned to-dos. And those are supposedly the solutions to the most important issues in our freaking company. And we wait and wait and wait till the last minute to complete the to-do, or we say, yeah, I just didn't have enough time getting to it. And so, do you think that that's actually executing your decisions faster by treating the solves of your biggest issues like they're just side things that aren't that important? Scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself right now on how well you get your to-dos done. I am super guilty here, super guilty. 8 quick start, I have all kinds of great, 9 quick start, all kinds of great reasons why I don't have to get my to-dos done. None of them are worthy of anything. So I said, if you want to really step it up a notch, schedule to-do blocks within 1 to 24 hours of your level 10 meeting that you just had. And the odds of you getting those to-dos go straight up just because you took action on it. Discipline number 5. This is a legitimate mental discipline. Decide who should solve this issue. Before selecting it as a 1, 2, 3 top 3 issues. Decide who should solve this issue. I'm saving you tons of time talking and IDSing anything if you've decided we don't need to discuss this. And I looked right at the leadership team. Hey, Cham, right? Can you take this issue? Before, like when I'm building that issues list, I'm preparing, I will send the issue where it belongs. We don't have to talk about this. Like, send it. Don't talk about it. Don't waste any IDS time on it. Give it to the person who is in the seat that actually should be solving it, and they don't even need you. Why do you think you're needed? Look to your neighbor and say that. Why do you think you're needed? I told you I'm not a motivational speaker. Sarcastic, trash-talking speaker today. Discipline number 6. Use the right facilitation phrases and questions. Use the right facilitation phrases and questions. What do I mean by this? If you are leading a meeting and you're responsible for the pace, it can go like this. Okay, it's time to IDS. Go ahead. You guys, let's look at the issues list for a couple minutes. How about we all vote on all of the issues? So we can see who feels the most important one. Like, what's the collective average of that so we can solve an average issue? Which one? Okay, let's talk about that. Weak one. It's great. Or you could start, you've heard of this. What's the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer? One sets the temperature, one takes the temperature. Normally, look to your neighbor and say the L10 meeting in IDS is not normal human interaction. But we freaking act like it is. We're working, and then sometimes we come into the meeting and we're just kind of 5 minutes early, so we're all chit-chatting, and we're just, have a coffee, and we're ready to start the meeting because we start on time, and we're chit-chatting. And so we kind of continue to chit-chat to go through all this stuff, and we try not, but this is saying, like, just think about this. If I'm facilitating, and I have made speed a habit, and I want to exercise the discipline, guess what's going to happen to the way I facilitate? I'm going to be a little bit more intense because it's not normal human interaction. You can have coffee later. You can just discuss things later. I want to freaking attack every issue. I don't want to attack you. So when I go into my IDS mode, I'm like, all right, pick your top 3 issues. Let's go, 30 seconds. What are they? So when I get to my top 3, the first thing I say as facilitator, issue number 1, what's the root of this issue? What's the root? That's the question, facilitated question. What's the root of this? What am I trying to do right there? I want everyone only thinking about what's the root. I'm trying to remind you, remember everybody, we don't want to discuss the issue. We want to get to the root first. So I'm going to make better decisions when I actually get to the root. So I facilitate what's the root of this issue. And I don't let anybody talk about anything else unless it's about the root. And then when I feel like, this is me facilitator, I'm literally reading the temperature of the room. I'm like, all right, do we feel like we have the root? That's a question I say. Do we feel like we have the root? Is this the root? If I get a head nod, I could save myself like a minute to 2 minutes of more little dialogue. If we already know we have the root, stop talking about it. Now let's start discussing 4 solutions. So then my next facilitated question is, are we ready to discuss for solutions? These are just examples. Find your own words, but make it, you can move speed, you can make speed happen if you use questions to keep the dialogue going faster. Are we ready to discuss for solutions? And then we have the banter back and forth of discussing, trying to throw out solutions, taking a shot. I think we should do this. I think we should do this. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Now as a facilitator, I'm listening. I'm reading the room. Do we have all the right solutions? Do I feel good about it? Do you? I see heads nodding. I'm like, all right, so I'll say, are we ready to solve this thing? If you don't say, are we ready to solve it, what's normally going to happen? They're just going to keep talking because we like talking. And we'll just keep kind of talking about it when we could shave off a couple minutes. So are we ready to solve this issue? And then, like, I'm capturing the to-dos or the decisions. What are we doing? And once that happens, I ask this question. If we make these decisions and do these to-dos, does this issue go away forever? Because I don't want to spend another 10 minutes on this in future weeks. I want to solve the whole freaking thing right now. So I just ask that facilitated question, looking at everybody's eyeballs. Okay, everybody, if we do these things in the next 7 days, does this issue go away forever? And if I get a green light, here's the risk. People could just nod their heads, and just like you rate the meetings, 9.2. Because if you go less than that, you have to, give a reason why. So 9, 9.2. And so you get in the habit of just answering. And so you got to stay, your mindset has to stay, and I'm trying to make better decisions faster, not just check boxes that I said the right things. I'm literally trying to emote this. You guys catching what I'm saying? Okay. Those are the handful of discipline 6. Use the right facilitation phrases. Discipline number 7. I don't know, maybe you guys do this, but I think this is really helpful. I've seen lots of my teams do this. Commit to auditing and training on a regular basis. about making speed a habit. Commit to auditing and training your L10 meetings. Commit to auditing and training IDS mastery. Commit to auditing and training that front end of the level 10 meeting, which is where a lot of people end up having a little bit more discussion than they should. Alan Lakin says, time is life. Waste of your time and you waste of your life. And so what I care about is this is your leadership team, or this is a management team, this is a departmental team, and if I can get you to move with more speed, then you have a little bit more space to solve a couple more issues, which multiply that times 50 meetings a year. And if you have 5 different departments, that's 250 meetings a year, right? And if I can solve an additional 2 to 3 issues per level 10 meeting, I am making better decisions faster because I cared about the minutes in my IDS time. But when I don't care about my minutes, guess what happens to them? They just keep like ticking off because I have no intensity about my IDS. Here's a couple runner-ups that didn't make my list. This shouldn't be a runner-up, it's pretty awesome. Schedule additional IDS sessions. When the pandemic hit, I had one client go to daily IDS sessions and 24-hour to-do completion. Yeah, daily and 24-hour to-do completion. Daily IDS, they were working 14-hour days, and they freaking crushed it. They were 100% aligned, and every day they had to get that to-do done. So they IDS'd for an hour or two, and then they broke, and they went and did everything they said they were going to do, and they came back. If you have a big issues list that's just piled up and you never have enough time to do it, that's telling you something. Get that crap out of your organization. Okay. I have 12 minutes before the session's over. I want to pause. Those are the 7 disciplines. I gave you some stuff. I didn't even hit on IDS mastery. So I skipped over like all the basics because this is the room that's supposed to be like a year and a half and we're pretty awesome at this and we got it all dialed in. So I skipped over all the pure IDS teaching, which I think there's a lot of gaps there. Do you want Q&A time? How many would like Q&A time? Can you raise your hands? Yeah? Okay, I want to answer questions. So I want to serve you. There's 2 mics there. Please go to a mic. Any questions? First of all, did you get value? Was this helpful? Was this a win? Okay, questions. Let's go. Questions. We're trying to teach speed. Let's go. Come on. Just kidding. I'm just totally.
Okay. My question is, when you ask if we make these decisions and to-dos, does the issue go away forever? If somebody says no, what do you say or what do you do?
What would you do?
Yeah. What would I do?
Yeah.
Keep it on the issues list?
I wouldn't do that.
What
if
would
they
you do?
say no, then I'm like, what's the freaking to do? What's the decision we have to make? I want this solved. What do we need to do? And I'll spend another 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever I need because I don't want to come back to this topic. We picked it. Let's own it.
So we keep discussing until it's solved right then and there, essentially.
Yeah, but I'm keying in on if this is a leadership team member, and I'm like, you don't think it's solved? Okay, what would we need to do? Like, because everybody else thinks it's solved. Mm-hmm. So what do you think we need to do? What do you think? I don't think we got the root of it.
Gotcha.
Make
Cool.
sense?
Thanks. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, full vulnerability here. When you went through the discovery for the E-Decide book,
Yeah.
there was 4 discoveries that you were going to talk about. Did
Yeah.
you talk about the 4th one and I just missed it? Because I only had 3, and I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just,
No,
did I
I love that. I
something?
told you I'm a 2 follow-through.
The last one I had was the 10 Commandments.
You must have clarity of vision. Good decision making, take clarity breaks. You must avoid 10 bad decisions. And yes, I skipped it, but I kind of said it earlier. Not all good decisions are made at the same speed. Not all good decisions are made at the same speed, meaning, like, not everything is a 10-minute thing. You might need to discuss and debate for days or weeks. Like, there's some fatal things. Don't go solve the fatal things. So that is that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I do
Yes.
another one? So, sense of urgency. That's what I hear when you talk about this speed. It's the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And yes, when you start out with certain clients, and I'm speaking in generalities right now, we do have fact finders, and they have a trouble with that sense of urgency. So what do you do with that?
Yeah, so this is where Gino was hammering me. And so Gino said, Justin, you can do damage if you make people feel like they have to move at the implementer's pace. It's not good to have a 9 quick start and a 2 follow through make some of the decisions that you guys need to make. And so my personality should not get in the way of this amazing leadership team. All I'm trying to say is if you don't like the pace of your IDSing, these things can help. Don't feel like I'm raining on you going, you guys suck, it took you 12 minutes. I had that done thinking 3. No, I can do damage if I say that to you. Yes.
Will you repeat the question in the microphone, Justin?
And we should ask our clients, hey, are you okay with the speed, or am I moving too fast, or is this too slow?
Your clients and your teams.
Your clients and your
If you're
teams.
an integrator or you're just a
Integrator
leadership team member and you think we're moving too slow or too fast,
Yeah.
express yourself.
Yeah, that's
as a
great.
teamer.
Next question.
Okay, I had more of a general question with things that I've picked up today with other sessions too, but it goes with IDSing and how you said some of the people on the leadership team who are, let's say, managers of their teams. Okay, we have a lot of different teams and then we come together as leadership. What would you say differs between making a decision or an issue for them to solve on their team? How big or severe would you have to say to bring it to the leadership team?
So you're saying say it again?
Okay, so they have their own teams, own leaderships going on, okay?
Yep.
So they have level 10s, quarterlies, etc.
Department teams?
Yep, department teams. So what would you say makes a issue come from a department team all the way up to leadership team where we're taking that time to discuss? How
So that
severe?
department leader
Yep.
should be the filter, the veto person of, I don't want to just kick it up to the leadership team. I'm trying to manage my stuff. I don't want to bother the leadership team with stuff that I want to solve. So I have to decide, do we have all the right people in the room to make this decision? I'm the department head.
So it's
Can
the
we?
trust in the department head then?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome. Mike. Any other questions? Get in line.
So wouldn't you say, though, if it requires another leader from the upper leadership team, you would probably bring it to the leadership team? If it requires another department.
Yeah, yes, but. So if I took time to review the issues list and I saw a hot issue that I knew I could handle my department, but I just needed this other person, if I'm looking at the list, I can say, hey, Joe, we need you in our department L10. We're going to try and attack this issue, and you're the only person I need. Because I spent some time, victory loves preparation, so I don't have to waste the whole leadership team, because I looked at this and I was aware of what I was going to try to solve, so I bring him in. I'm not wasting the whole leadership team time, I'm just wasting his. Not even wasting his, he's in the room. Good.
Could you elaborate or clarify number 5 of the discipline, decide who should solve the issue before IDSing it?
Question 5. Decide who should solve this. Okay, so if I'm looking at my issues list and I'm honestly going, in my gut, I'm like, we don't need the leadership team for this. If I'm the integrator, if I'm the visionary, we don't need to be deciding this. I think of my department leader, I think of a group below, I'm like, totally, Kara, can you just take this issue? Like, I make the decision going, I don't want to waste my leadership team time on this. I trust Kara, so I'm just going to send that to Kara. Kara, can you solve this all on your own with your team and whoever you need? Then I just send it. Yes?
It's basically the who, not how that you heard in the
Yeah, the who, not how. Was that helpful? Yeah, awesome. Any other questions?
So it gets very complicated by us when the issue, not every issue can be solved in 7 days. meaning there might be a multitude of steps.
Yes.
So when there's future steps, how do we deal with that?
So I always first say, okay, is this a rock?
So if it's not, no, if it's something in between.
Something
It's
in
less
between.
than a rock, but more than 7 days.
Then I
Yes.
chunk it and I decide, do I want to solve all of it right now? And I do an exception versus the rule where I give a 14-day to-do or a 20-day, and I try to get all the thinking. Or I'm like, we have to spend more time on this. Let's schedule a to-do to unpack this whole thing and whiteboard it and really attack it. I don't want to give the leadership team time for this. That's another way.
That's great. My next question is, let's just say we solved the whole issue, but there are 7 to-dos out of that, and one to-do is interconnected to the next to-do, so it would span more than 7, meaning
Read the speed as a habit and decide, is this a parallel thing that we're just saying it's daisy chained? Or can we do on parallel lines and get all this crap done in 7 days?
Well, that's true, but sometimes there are to-dos that once that's done.
Agreed.
Yes. So how do we deal with that?
You just schedule them and do them.
Schedule it out now and for future days.
If you don't want to talk about it again, schedule to do it. That should be rare exception, in my opinion.
I don't know why, but else it happens a lot. But
The
in any
reason
case-
why is because I would say this to-do, get it done today. This next to-do, get it done in 2 days, because that's a daisy chain. Have less time in between. So if it's a daisy chain, then I'm going to say, you take this to-do and have it done Monday. You take this to-do, have it done on Tuesday. You take this to-do, because you'll have all the information.
So we tried that. The next challenge with that was that the leadership team is not willing to pick complicated issues because they know a couple of to-dos will come out of that. So that's the untouchable issue. Because
Let's take this
everybody's
offline.
Okay.
Hey, it is 3:57. I'm happy to answer any of the questions, but I just want to say you guys were awesome. I hope you got tons of value. I hope you're going to buy into speed. Survey. Do the survey. Do the survey. Do the survey. Do the survey. Whoever left, please tell them to do the survey.